the brackets, which I have open for you guys here, and we do have 2 quarterfinals games already played, and we can see that Dirkja and Grey Crusaders have advanced past the Order of the Phoenix and the Final Cure. But now Play for Fun is going up against Team Long Ass Name. They're going to battle it out for one of the remaining spots in the semifinals, as will Gangsters and Gentlemen and Fortress of Arrogance, and that's where our attention's focused at the moment. As right now we've got Max Power and Commissar Yarrick representing Fortress of Arrogance up top, and down below we've got Strigoi and Asminator, and they're going to be representing Gangsters and Gentlemen. Now I'd really like to know which one is a gangster and which one's a gentleman, personally. But
it's a gangster gentleman. They're both gentlemen and gangsters. I don't know how that works.
I suppose that could work. And there's...
I mean, they're coming to rob your bank, and it's like, please give us all your money. No? Then we have to kill you, sir. I'm very sorry.
Alright, so it looks like everyone's locking in their race just about now, and Ruins of Argus is going to be the map. We saw this one game before, but yesterday is what I mean. And this will be a bit of an interesting game. The map itself is a little in the way of cramped in the bottom left corner, and open yet cramped in the top right, and just kind of cramped everywhere else. It's a relatively small map in a lot of senses, and a lot of cover and a lot of garrisons, and just a lot of everything there. And we seem to be ready to go, so we're going to kick this thing into gear. So as mentioned now, Max Power and Commissar Yarrick there of Fortress of Arrogance. We've got Tech Marine for Max Power and Inquisitor for Commissar Yarrick. On the other side of things, we got Strigoi, who's going to be sporting the Chaos Lord, who seems to be a very popular hero this tournament. And I believe Asminator is going to be Warlock, as I recall. Either way, some flavor of Eldar.
Yeah, it's Warlock.
So everyone's just about loaded in here, and just taking a little bit further look here, the key points outside of the entire bottom left and the entire everything, there are a couple of contested points here, and we got the contested requisition in the bottom left and the contested power in the top right. Now, that said, the entire bottom left is a bit of a cluster. I'm not going to finish that sentence, and that basically leads to the entire thing being contested, depending on what exactly each team does. Now, that said, let's go ahead and point out starting positions. We've got Max Power, the Tech Marine, in the top left, Commissar Yarrick, the Inquisitor, in the bottom left, sporting Death Corps of Krieg. The top right, we've got Strigoi, and he looks to be sporting a special color scheme as well. I don't think I have to tell you guys what that one is. And Asminator in the bottom right, who is indeed Warlock. Thus far, we have relatively standard builds here, and we do see actually the garrison being used already by Commissar Yarrick, despite the fact that he is Imperial Guard and these are guardsmen, which typically are not known for making great use of these garrisons. But with Sentinel support here, he may just be looking to deny it to these Guardians, and it looks like he's being effective in doing so thus far. Sentinel's pushing up on the Guardians, but here comes some Chaos Space Marines to go ahead and support. But one Guardian squad is already retreating, having taken at least one loss, maybe more. But Asman getting his power down quite quickly.
I think he's looking for 2 shurikens, to be honest.
Yeah, he isn't getting any more guardsmen at the moment, and he isn't looking to get another Banshee or anything like that, so definitely a shuriken or ranger is definitely in the cards for him, so it looks like. Meanwhile, we see that he's actually gone ahead and taken control of this structure in the bottom right here by his power farm with his Guardians, so even the quick job by Yarrick to hop into that building there is not going to completely deny garrison play. That said, though, what's interesting here... Oh, never mind. Yarick just went ahead and changed up what I was expecting there. He's going with dual Sentinel play here, which is a little interesting in this area because, honestly, I feel as Imperial Guard, whenever I played on this map, especially down here in the bottom, that it's very claustrophobic and you don't get a lot of range for your... Oh, but wait a minute, the Inquisitor goes down, walking right into some heretics. Finishing that thought from before, though, this bottom area is so claustrophobic that your guardsmen really rely on range to get their damage in on approach, and they just have none of it here, and going with either Sentinels or Catechins tends to be the better approach, I find, and it seems like Yarick has found the same thing here. Nonetheless, though, we seem to be seeing pretty good control up top and down below right now as far as Fortress of Arrogance is concerned, but the middle and the areas between the middle are being harassed quite nicely here by Gangsters and Gentlemen.
One of our initiates has
True.
Although the top control is starting to be broken off here by Mr. Strigoi, because he's got his Chaos Lord romping around and he's capturing just about all those mid-top points now. That Havoc really seems to have helped him out. Max Bar, though, is building his own Devastator. It took him quite a bit to do so, though.
Yeah. It looks like this will be a suppression war of some sort.
And meanwhile, Sentinel's re-establishing control in the middle here, but Inquisitor getting grenaded. And a nice little grenade there by these Guardians to make sure she gets forced off. And now Havoc's getting 2x Havocs, I should say, for Strigoi. And they are assaulting these dual Sentinels for Yarick.
Yeah, they're not going to be so efficient now if, say, shurikens or heavy voltage are in buildings.
Yeah, and
unless, of course, you advance from the right direction, but they can't shoot you.
There aren't too many right directions in Argus, unfortunately. And those that are quite hard to get to. But as
no, they're quite easy. You just advance from another window, so to speak.
Swings around building, finds windows just about everywhere.
Yeah.
This is one of those quite ideal buildings, hence being called the Guard Tower. It lives up to its name quite well. But as we see here, this Shuriken is basically controlling the bottom, and this is what Yarick wanted to prevent early on. But we see he's going to be stuck here a little bit more in Tier 1 than he wanted to grab these Catechin Devils. Because going Tier 2 right now would net him just about nothing, unfortunately. He would need those Catechins no matter what, so he's going to go ahead and grab them. And looks like Havocs are...
use them. It would be wonderful if you could booby trap the guard tower or something.
Definitely, and also, of course, continued old reliable is also a great way to get him out of there as well. In the meantime, we see that the Chaos Lord rushing right through the Devastator fire, and 3x Havocs here by Strigoi, but we know that's a mistake because he used a little bit of an expletive and mentioned as much in the chat. Ooh, now that's a little odd here by Max Power. He tried to use an explosive shot from his scouts on the Chaos Lord, which I'm sure most of you guys here will know that does not work. Meanwhile, we got Havoc setting up right by these Sentinels, and Sentinel's taking a lot of damage here. Dual stomping. I'm not really sure quite what's up with the dual stomps here. You know, usually...
I think it's just a micro mistake.
Yeah, because usually you don't want to see that because it's very inefficient. But Catechins here, nevertheless, managing to dodge that grenade quite nicely. It really hits just about nothing there. Heretics come in and right on top of everything, but there's just too much stuff there.
Heavy losses on the Catechins.
Yeah, going down to 4 out of 7 models.
Remembers, but still.
They do get out quite fine, though, with enough models, pretty much. And these Guardians keep pouring in, at least threatening grenades. We see this particular squad has just below 60 energy, and even just as it gets 60 energy, just get out. But nice Destructor is going to force off at least, well, I should say just that Guardian squad, but they get down to 4 models, and 4 very low health models of that. And now we're starting to see some warp throw out here. And that's going to start screwing with all these setups and any ranged arrayed force, which is basically both of what Max Power and Yarick have. Meanwhile, the control of this bottom area remains as a shuriken cannon weapon platform just continues to sit down here and control this really wide area. If you take a look at the firing arc of this, there just is not a great way to approach that.
Except from behind, but then you have to go through the
You have to make a really big, you got to go through that havoc in the center to get behind even. It's not an easy task. But it looks like Old Reliable's coming in. We got 2 Sentinels coming in as well. This is an all-out push here to take this thing down. The Inquisitor might be a casualty if we continue to look at this, though. She's getting out of there pretty quickly, and now our Guardsmen get naded. I didn't even think that nade hit that many of them, but apparently it did. And now we're seeing the Shuriken going back in the Guardsman tower, the guard tower, I should say. And one of these Sentinels looks like it's going to go down. It does go down, but we've got a strike here, and that is going to be the end of that Shuriken. So 1 Shuriken for 1 Sentinel, worthwhile trade. I would usually say yeah, but after using at least 125 red to take it out, got to question that. Nonetheless, it's at most even. So.
I mean, the important thing on this map is to hold the bottom and the center if you're going to win.
Oh, well, okay, bottom and center, I suppose. I was going to say, I've played many a time where I just completely seed the bottom and hold everywhere but the bottom and have no issue winning, because there's actually more power up top.
You have to hold the center too.
Yeah.
If you're going to hold the bottom, then you've got to hold the center or the top.
Meanwhile, we've got Plasma Devastators up top being meleeed by Chaos Space Marines, who are able to force them off pretty effectively. And thus far, by the way, we've got no upgrades on this Tech Marine, which I don't know whether to find surprising or what, but a raid against the Chaos Space Marine force. We haven't seen Plasma yet, but we are seeing a Dreadnought in training, which is actually a rather nice build in terms of getting that Plasma Devastator, if that's what you want to go for, which is all requisition. And then following that up with a Dreadnought, having not really spent any power in here too.
That is ideal against setup teams.
Yeah, of course.
That's why I got it. To clear away all those annoying Chaos Havocs.
But then it's just the whole, like, point of the build where, you know, it's kind of like, you know, you've already got this requisition expenditure that you need to make, and then, you have a big power purchase that kind of comes next. It just flows very well. And, you know, it's always about order, because a Dreadnought obviously would handle it just as well, and some players might be tempted to just save up for the Dreadnought. Oh, but here we go. Bloodletters are all over it, and down goes the Plasma Cannon. That warship making those Bloodletters super demons here. And meanwhile, the Sentinel is trapped. Oh, but it actually gets a little bit away there and goes ahead, manages to get the stomp off and a extended stomp on this, but it goes down anyway. By the way, we see Harness of Rage is on this Chaos Lord, so it's going to be regaining energy actually, which is a little interesting. It's not the most popular Chaos Lord armor, but it certainly has its uses. Meanwhile, Asminator has been kind of sitting quietly back, but he's got an avatar coming. And by the way, here is that Plasma we were talking about.
Tier 3 to get it.
These Bloodletters are closing in on the Dreadnought, but the biggest problem here for Max Power and Commissar Yara is not necessarily
the point situation.
Exactly, which is 459 to 57. I don't think they can maintain that much longer. They're trying to cap at the moment, but they don't have a great method here to do so. We're seeing the Inquisitor going for this point as the Chimera is doing what it can to push everything else off. And it looks like they'll probably get the situation at least neutral soon, but for how long?
Yeah, I don't think they will be able to hold it off for too long.
So they managed to stop the bleed for now, but the Avatar
probably getting old and the drain when that Avatar comes.
Yeah, the Avatar is really going to make things pretty brutal. And we see actually now Distort Field being used on Bloodletters, so a little bit of nice teamwork coming in from Asminator on Strigoy's units. This Chaos Lord, though, in a bit of danger. Looks like he's gonna... No, he does not get out of there, actually. And now we've got some super Bloodletters, though, who've got Distort Field on them, who are basically regenerating health with being hit by rain... Well, not quite, because they're not retreating, but still taking way less range damage than they usually would, therefore having no problems with taking out that Dreadnought. And this Chimera is now just getting destroyed. All the vehicles for Max Power and Commissar Yarrick going down. And this Autarch was called in pretty well there on the back lines of Yarrick and really pushed him back and did some nasty things. And here is the Avatar that we spoke about coming and destroying and all kinds of stuff. Now, interestingly here, the Inquisitor may be able to hold the bottom, but it's too late.
It doesn't matter if you can hold the bottom if the two other points are held by an enemy.
Of course, you know, just looks like, oh, maybe
but
I'll at least...
waste your time, though.
Maybe I'll...
better than holding none.
Yeah, it always depends on, you know, what the situation is, but...
But if you're 10 points left, then it's not gonna help.
Of course. So seeing the post-game screen here, definitely a significant stat difference between the two teams as far as unit scores and victory point scores and everything else. And Strigoi pulling out the champion, for what it's worth.
He most of the time did almost all the fighting.
I think there's a little bit more... you know, Asminator did his job and then some, but definitely those Bloodletters taking out both vehicles did quite a bit, so among other things, yeah. But it's always tough to tell on TV too, but definitely both players pulling their weight there.
Well, as long as they work as a team, they'll do fine, but if they don't, then it kind of goes down the drain almost at once. To a team which has the teamwork laid down.
Yeah, teamwork certainly can help, and as we saw there, Asminator displayed that brilliantly by going ahead and using the Distort Field on those Bloodletters, and the Bloodletters were basically able to use the Distort Field buff, which decreases range damage against them, and significantly, by the way. And they were able to use that to just kind of hop around and beat the carp out of a bunch of vehicles and take them out. And that really was the backbreaker. I mean, I think at that point, both Max Power and Commissar Yarrick already had their butts against the walls, and backs against walls, I mean, sorry. You know, the game was looking pretty bleak then anyway, but the second that those two vehicles fell, it was just game over. You know, it was probably game over before then, a lot of people will say, but it just sealed the deal, and you know, you always need to seal the deal. You can't stop fighting, you can't stop pushing, because if you do, bad stuff's around that corner.
You better stop the enemy in their tracks, or they will keep going. I mean, it's not very pleasant to almost beat someone and then have them come back and just crush you to bits.
Exactly, and it does you no good at all to bring them down, get them on the ropes, and then not finish them off. Because they'll find a way to...
And then you just wonder, what did I do wrong? I'm sure I had them, but I came back.
So we see that Median Clip Mine seems to be the choice here, and Strigoi actually moving over to Warboss from Chaos Lord.
Ooh, this is going to be an orky fight, I hope.
And also... Commissar Yarrick going from a little less drastic change. He's switching here from Inquisitor to Commissar Lord.
Yeah, Max Power is changing from Tech Marine to Force Commander.
Yeah, actually, which I didn't quite notice as much because he's been showing Force Commander like the entire time. Only just right before the last game did he switch to Tech Marine at all. So something to be said there, no doubt.
The Commissar is quite dangerous with the eye upgrade.
But then well, I mean, yeah, definitely Bionic Eye is still good. But I've seen some good tier 1 play too out of him. A little bit. Players are starting to get to use his default execute better as well. Exactly, yeah. So Max Power's in the bottom left here. Commissar Yarick in the top left. Strigoi with that War Boss now in the top right. And Asminator. Oh, my bad. Strigoi's in the bottom right. Asminator in the top right here as Warlock. And I've seen a similar build from Asminator so far. Just getting those 2 Guardians and not much else. Yarick is going for Sentinel first here. And that could spell another 2 Sentinel opening. We'll have to see if that is.
He seems to be going for Guardsman squad.
Yeah, he's going for Guardsman next, which is interesting. You know, I find him 1v1 a lot of times. Getting that Sentinel out first for harass is nice. But in TV2, personally, it's just personal preference, though. Obviously, all players differ in preference. You know, I kind of like to sit there and get the 2 Guardsmen out first. So I can start capping my side first, and then I can push.
Yeah, but you can still harass in the early stage of the 2.
Exactly, yeah.
Two.
But we didn't see too much of harass to start out with, and it's tough remedying clip lines because of the distances for that. Nonetheless, though, the War Boss charging in down here, and he's going after this Tactical Space Marine squad. Oh, actually, man! Oh, Max Power, he didn't have to run into that stomp. That stomp got thrown down, and he was away from it, and then all of a sudden he just ran into the stomp with both of his Tactical Space Marines, his scouts, and his Force Commander who's down to really low health.
Please stomp us, please! I insist!
The scouts managed to get the explosive shot off on the Sluggers, but no retreat from the Force Commander until very late, and he's going to get out. No, he doesn't get out. Oh, man, he is a little wait on the retreat there, and he's going to probably lose his power because of it. But on the other hand, power's a little endangered for Asminator and friends. But the thing is, they've already gotten a fair bit of power out of their farm, and we're seeing the Asminator's already getting his Shuriken from that power.
Max Power is going to struggle now, unless the Commissar Lord comes over and reviews him.
Yeah, without having that Force Commander and trying to go up against the Sork Force, which is pretty solid. He's going to have a few issues, but let's see what he's trending towards. And it looks like he could trend towards a Devastator, perhaps, from where he is currently in terms of requisition and power. But he could also be going for Assault Space Marines.
Kind of needs a Devastator, to be honest.
Meanwhile, we got a Warlock with Immolator, who is running around here and looking to give some Guardsmen some problems. But the bigger problem for everyone here is coming down by the generators of Yarick and Max Power just getting destroyed by the big shooters and the Guardians.
Well, that's kind of nice work of the opposing team to just wipe their gens.
Yeah, and this is a classic case though of good defense by good offense, as we're seeing here from Strigoi and Asminator. They're gonna lose their farm here, but when it comes to farms, they've got a little bit more. They've had some more power stockpiled. They've got their other farm pretty secure.
Oh, perhaps they're looking to steal the enemy farm.
There's
one generator left.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they just didn't think they could bash it in time or what, but they are seeming to go ahead and grab that with at least one generator. And now it looks like they're going to go and defend.
Grab it. They kind of know that the Imperials are kind of tied up bashing their farm, and you know, the Space Marines are kind of bursted downstairs.
And we see the War Boss trying to get in on the Devastator here. And he is drawing its fire so that the shooters can take their shots. I'm surprised that we're not seeing any real melee here from the shooters. We do have a bit of a flare being popped to keep their range down. And, you know, no force melee there. That Devastator's able to turn up and around and start shooting them again. This is where, you know, big shooters are definitely nice, but Shoot-a-Knob would have been really nice there as a first upgrade to allow them to go in and melee a little better. But then again, though, the big shooter destroying the scouts there, so both upgrades have their uses.
Yeah. Although the Shoot-a-Knob is most likely used for detect most of the time. Otherwise, you will be getting the big shooters first to do some damage.
So meanwhile, we see Strigoi and Asminator both going tier 2. And that means Strigoi actually cancels the Storm Boys that he had started building, which honestly he really doesn't need. The Storm Boys at this point would be one of those things that if you
Or
want
you
to,
slow him down.
yeah,
I mean, you could go tier 2 and get a truck, and then pretty much the Devastator is dealt with.
yeah, and you know, again, his opponents really aren't near there anyway, and the bleed that Stormboys impose upon you are just again, as you mentioned, a great way to slow yourself down at you know, times. You got to really make sure that you're in a position to use them well, which I'm not necessarily convinced is the case here, and it seems like Strigoi is the same mind. Meanwhile, though, this is a devastating two-side attack, I should say, from Asmon and Strigoi, just running in.
Oh, we'll see a grenade.
They're going for it, but it looks like it might be a little short. Oh, but they do get one model, yep. The War Boss here doing his best.
I don't think Max Power and Greg is going to be any near tier 2 yet. They have only one power farm.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big problem for them here. And hopefully they won't stay trapped in Tier 1 as we saw a lot of teams yesterday. But it's going to be tough for them to get out of Tier 1, I will say that. Nonetheless, the Warboss providing good pressure. He's not really making too much headway against it, but the mere fact that he's keeping him pinned down here is buying himself time to grab a Weird Boy. And Asmon time to grab, well, I'm not quite sure what he wants to grab yet, but we'll have to wait and see. And we're seeing just quite a bit of angry bits on these Devastators. And, you know, it does eventually work.
Yeah, if you get close enough.
But the Force Commander goes down. Oh, man, retreating late again there and paying the price for it.
But I don't think Max Power and Yark has a requisition problem, as to speak.
No, they should be able to deal with that pretty easily. And they just got to secure the power, and they are working on doing that in the bottom left here. Nice little grenade dodge from Commissar Yark as he's trying to capture this point. These sneaky little Guardians go to grenade him, and he just backs away, gets off the point, then goes back on the point to go ahead and pick it back up. So the Weird Boy is on the field now, and this is going to be a really tough situation now for Yarrick because it's already bad enough for everyone else on the field, but for the Blobby Imperial Guard Force here, we start seeing some zaps, and we start seeing some of these main attacks land. But then again, though, you know, when you get Destructor, why even bother? Followed up by Immolate taking 2 more models out. Those Catachin Devils were full squad, I should say, 7 out of 7. And they fell to 3 out of 7 within just 2 attacks from that Warlock.
Yeah, it's devastating, that combination.
And we've also got Warp Throw on him as well, so... Meanwhile, both Strigoi and Asminator are going Tier 3, while we're just starting to see Tier 2 from Max Power and Commissar Yark.
And the Force Commander falls yet again.
Yeah, he seems to be charging in there a little too much, but the Weird Boy now forced off without really doing anything.
Well, it's already over, to put it this way.
So at the moment, looks like we got ourselves a classic middle standoff. But some shooters get just in range of those Tactical Space Marines to force them to back off. Fully upgraded shooters against unupgraded Tactical Space Marines. Not going to turn out well for the... oh, my bad. Okay, there is one shooter squad that isn't quite fully upgraded, but nonetheless they're not going to go ahead and turn out well for those Tactical Space Marines.
Now they're just going to fall lower.
In the meantime, though, we're seeing a big push up top here from Commissar Yark.
Well, they're kind of giving up on the center, understandably.
Yeah, they really can't hope to do too much about the center other than to just sort of sit back and prevent the center control from translating to anything else for their opponents. And we are seeing that the Tactical Space Marines are trying to control the Sluggas here, who actually do get the successful decap off on that bottom victory point. And this is
a bit sneaky work, not really okay.
It's going to be a little dangerous, actually. We're seeing a whole Orc force coming around this way, and now we're going to see Max Power have to deal with attacks from 2 directions. And meanwhile, the Autarch is basically controlling what's going on up top.
Nah, well...
Except now she's retreating already. She certainly at least bought some time. And meanwhile, the War Boss coming for the flank, knocking these Devastators silly. And now the Orcs are ready to move in right and proper. Taking out 1, 2 Devastator models. But here comes the Plasma Devastator. These shooters are all bunched up. They're all bunched up. They eat the Plasma Devastator right in the face.
They only lost 2 members total, though.
Yeah, they didn't lose too much from it, but one more shot like that, and oof, things start getting brutal.
Splat! No Orcs.
That said, we do see Knobs are coming out right now, but Librarian on the other side of things, and a Mana Core, which unfortunately neither of those two really synergize well with each other. But Smite is going to go ahead and synergize quite well with that Plasma Devastator, especially if you see these shooters bunch up as much as they have been.
Yeah. It's not nice being on the receiving end of Smite if you're standing there in a masked crowd.
Never is, but in the meantime we see this Commissar Lord low on energy, low on health, getting hit up by this Auto Arc. I don't think he's going to get it. He's just going to die, and down goes the Sentinel too. This is a great push up top by Yarick. It was sustaining itself pretty well up until that point, and unfortunately losing a couple key units, and it all unfortunately just gets thrown away there. Meanwhile, we've got Nas with Meter and Greeter sitting just outside the bottom right victory point here, ready to charge in at a moment's notice.
Yeah, ready to suck.
And now the War Boss is just taking immense amounts of damage from the Devastator that's set up back here. And Knobs actually not getting hit too badly by that Smite, which more or less missed. Go in, they take out 1 Devastator model, but now they're getting hit up by the Librarian, and this is... Oh, they're going to avoid the Librarian as best they can there. And pop Frenzy. And now they're going to go ahead and, yep, grab...
To get out alive?
It looks like it should get... No, it won't get that model out. And we see this... I blame this Librarian that's just kind of running around here and not engaging them in melee, but we'll see. But then again, though, what in the world wants to engage? Use your Choppa's Knobs in melee.
Glorious slaughter.
3 setups destroyed in a very short period of time here.
And will the Force Commander go down?
He should be able to get away. No, he's... Wow! Use your Choppa's showing its potency there.
Those knobs really paid off.
Yeah, with not much to control them there in the way of Plasma Weaponry or on-demand knockback, they were quite effective. But unfortunately, the setup teams were set up a little lollygag, not lollygaggish per se, but they weren't set up in a way to really cover each other. They seem to be not firing most of the time. But here comes the Mana Core firing in as we get the Shooter Boys retreating out. And meanwhile, Guardsmen pulling up right on top of these Knobs pretty quickly here. They do pop Frenzy just barely so they don't lose a model. And they continue getting up in the face of the Catechins. Catechins are a big threat to the Knobs, but we see here that the Knobs staying away from the Catechins, letting the Weird Boy hit them. So good micro there. Meanwhile, this War Boss getting knocked into base turrets and everything.
Also went splat down on the ground. And
meanwhile, there is a very vulnerable Mana Core here, as we've got swift movement Knobs. As Asmonite had popped that for a little bit there, but Knobs aren't going to be able to quite get in there. They're losing a couple of key models there, and that's going to be brutal for them. Meanwhile, Autark having a better shot at this Devastator, but actually maybe if she would jump in, but I don't think she's going to do that. But Warp Throw is going to finish the job. Why not? So nice little bit of micro there, and of course we've got an Avatar on the field to go ahead and complement those Knobs. But again, with 438 victory points, 39 right now, probably not the most necessary thing in the world, but never hurts to be sure.
Well, you don't want your enemies to come back with a comeback after all.
Exactly, and we see that Yarick spots the Mana Core, and Asminator giving the preemptive GG here as he recognizes it's a 3 cap with about 2 victory points remaining. Not much else is going to happen there.
Well,
so